Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Anna, and in this video I'm going to be discussing how I found out I was pregnant with my daughter Anniston. She is now 3 years old, but we are currently trying to conceive, or me and my husband that is, are currently trying to conceive our next child together, and we've been trying now for about 19 months. And so a lot of my videos on my channel are about our trying to conceive process and our infertility journey thus far, because we are dealing with null factor infertility. So I've been requested a few times to put out this video about how I found out we were pregnant with her, and if it took long whenever we were trying to conceive her. So I'm here to do that video for you guys. So if you're interested in this video, just keep watching. So to answer the main question that I've been asked, yes, Anniston did take quite a while to conceive. We tried for about 14 months. We pretty much actively started trying. And I want to say actively as in we pretty much tried but didn't really prevent for a few months, and then when we found out that it, or kind of saw that it wasn't happening right away, we started monitoring my cycles. And back then when we got pregnant with her, I did not have regular cycles, so I obviously wasn't ovulating but every so often, so that's why it took so long, I think, because that, combining that with what we know now, it was two problems. I wasn't having regular cycles, and my husband does have an issue with sperm count. It's just lower than it should be. So the combination of those two things, I think, caused it to be as long as it did before we were able to conceive her. My little crazy girl. But pretty much how we went about finding out that we were already pregnant, we were shocked when we found out because we had no idea. We actually were going on a trip to Florida. This is when we had been pretty much trying for about 12 to 13 months. And we went ahead and made an appointment with my OBGYN to get my yearly physical. And then I wanted to request a referral to a fertility specialist or a reproductive endocrinologist. And we did have a trip to South Florida, to Busch Gardens in Tampa. And because I hadn't had my cycle in so long, I wanted just to make sure that I wasn't pregnant, because obviously Busch Gardens is the theme park and I did not want to ride any of the roller coasters if I was expecting. So at that point, at the beginning of our trip, I took a test and it was negative. And right after we got back from that trip, within like the first 2 weeks, my husband and I both started different jobs. He switched from teaching flight school in the military to still teaching but doing it on a contractor basis. And then I was switching from my current job to a different medical clinic. So it was kind of really busy when we got back, so we wanted to go ahead and have that trip before we came back and got busy with that. Well, I will never forget, because it was my very first day of working at the medical clinic, and I had rescheduled my physical, I believe, twice, because obviously we all dread kind of getting our yearly physical, especially when it's time for your yearly PAP and all that good stuff. So it was my very first day of work, and I had to leave early at 3 o'clock to go meet my OBGYN to have my physical, and then of course discuss some other things in regards to my fears about, you know, the fact that I may be infertile and kind of what was going on with my body, because at that time I figured it was solely my problem because my husband already had a daughter, and since I wasn't having regular cycles, I knew that something wasn't right. So upon going to my OB's office, like normal, they have you pee and give a sample as soon as you check in. And then I was sitting in the room waiting, and let me tell you, my nerves were just like shot. My best friend was pregnant. We really wanted to be pregnant together, as silly as that sounds. And I was just worried because there was, one of my biggest fears in life is not being able to have children. I would like to have a big family. I only have one sister, and I really would like to have a bigger family for myself. So that was kind of a hard time for me, because I was worried that my husband was going to be like upset with me if something was wrong with me. And that's not the kind of pressure you should put on yourself. I mean, absolutely, looking back now, I never should have put that much pressure on myself. So don't do that if you're in the same boat that kind of I was in. But I sat down for my appointment. The OB came in. It was a very normal appointment. And then towards the end of it, once I was back dressed, I said I had some questions for him. And he came back in and we were talking, and I said, you know, I would really like to see a fertility specialist. At that point, I was only 22 years old, but I knew that something wasn't right, because for the past like year and a half, 2 years, the whole time my husband and I had been like together, I didn't really have normal cycles. And so I was really, really concerned, and I didn't know if that was something that he could help me with or if I had to have a referral. And he just looked at me with these like most kind, caring eyes. And he said, you know, I don't think you're going to be getting a positive pregnancy test anytime soon. And I'm like, oh my gosh. In my mind, I was like, wait, what? How does he already know what the problem is, you know? And he said, the sample that you left when you first got here indicates that you're pregnant. And I was like, what? I almost fell off the exam table. She's teething, so that's why she's chewing all over me, because she's still a puppy. But I almost fell off the exam table, and I immediately started to cry. I was crying because I was overwhelmed. I was happy. I was completely shocked. And I was kind of sad that my husband wasn't there with me. He was flying nights at the time when he was teaching flight school. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he was so nervous about this appointment. And I remember leaving, calling my mom going, oh my God, I went in for a physical and came out with a baby. And I called my best friend and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, you're pregnant, we're all pregnant. And I was like, how am I gonna tell Brian? Like, I did not want to tell him without doing it in a special way, because I knew that it was something that we've been trying for so long. However, because he knew about the appointment and how nervous I was, he was kind of nervous for it too, and he had been texting me. And so I wish I wouldn't have responded. I wish I would have said that it went fine. However, I didn't think about it right away. And he said, how did it go? And I was like, well, it did not go as planned. We'll have to talk about it when you get home. I was trying to make him think like maybe it wasn't good news. However, he's very, very persistent, and he was like, tell me now, what happened? And he was about to fly, so I'm like, crap, how am I gonna tell him? So if I can find the picture, I think he saved it. I will insert it here, but what I ended up doing was, on my abdomen, I drew a little thought bubble, and it says, hi daddy. And I sent that picture to him, and I will never forget his response. It was like cap letters, holy cow. He was shocked. I'm like, believe me, honey, I'm shocked, but holy cow, you know, we're pregnant. And it was just amazing. And I remember still being quite nervous, because I found out in my first ultrasound show that I was just at 6 weeks. And so of course I knew I wasn't out of the woods yet, and I didn't really want to tell people until I was 12 weeks. I did end up telling people before then that were close to me, and then we ended up driving up to Iowa, because we lived in Bama back then. And we drove to Iowa when I was 3 months pregnant to tell his mom and family. But it was amazing. You know, you don't get that many surprises out of life, and to find out you're pregnant like that, kind of in the situation that I was in, I was so happy, and that was like the best surprise ever. Like, that was the best surprise of my life thus far, and so it was absolutely amazing. So right before we sought fertility help, we found out we were pregnant. So I was hoping that would happen this time with this one, but obviously we're still trying to conceive this one. But I know you guys were curious how I found out we were pregnant with her, and that's how we found out. And she has been running our lives like crazy ever since. She's 3.5 now, but I also have been requested a lot to do her birth story, because it was kind of a scary story for me and for my husband Brian. So if you're interested in hearing her birth story, let me know in the comments, and I will definitely film that for you guys. But otherwise, if you like my channel, please subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.